She slammed her car door and just sat there. Her hands were trembling so badly she could not grip the steering wheel. Outside the window, the lights of the Kim family home glowed the same way they always had, warm, inviting, a total lie. Seo-yeon had just been told, in front of everyone she had ever loved, that she was a disappointment. That she had always been a disappointment. And her father, Kwon Jae-ho, had said it the way he always said difficult things. Not with anger, but with a tired, dismissive certainty, as if the verdict on her life had been final for years, and she was only just hearing it now. For a long moment, she thought about going back inside. She rehearsed what she would say. She imagined their faces. Then she put the car in drive and left. That night, she made a decision that would change everything. Seo-yeon had grown up in a mid-sized city in the South Gyeonggi province, the younger of 2 children in a household that ran on appearances. Her father was a well-respected man in his industry, the kind of man who was always early to every gathering and always said the right thing in public. Her brother, Tae-jun, was the one who received the handshakes, the praise, the money when he needed it. Seo-yeon was the one who was told to figure things out herself. She had chosen her university based on what her father approved of. She had taken jobs that he considered respectable. She had even given up a jewelry design side business she had loved, quietly, one evening, after he described it as a waste of decent education. None of it had ever been enough. The bar kept moving. Her mother, Choi Mi-rae, was a gentle woman who saw everything and said nothing. She had witnessed arguments, tears, and silence, and had always responded the same way, by looking at the floor. The night Seo-yeon finally left, she packed a single suitcase. She had been saving for years. It was not a great amount of money, but it was hers, and it was enough. She called her closest friend the next morning. "Are you actually doing this?" Amara asked. "Yes," Seo-yeon said. "What if it doesn't work?" "Then it doesn't work. But if I stay here, I will spend the rest of my life trying to prove myself to people who already decided who I am." Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Okay, go." Seo-yeon moved to Seoul. The city was louder than she had prepared for, more expensive, and far less interested in her story than she had hoped. She rented a narrow room above a dry cleaning shop in Mapo-gu. The walls were thin. The Ondal heating worked only when it felt like it. She kept a blanket on her chair at all times. Her days went like this. Mornings spent chasing meetings with small business owners who needed branding and design work. Afternoons spent waiting for callbacks that rarely came. Evenings and weekends spent working part-time shifts at a convenience store near Hongdae Station to cover rent and rice. Most people said no. "I appreciate you coming in," one potential client told her. "We'll be in touch." They never were. Another simply did not return her messages. 3 times. Each rejection hit somewhere deep. On the subway ride home after particularly bad days, she would find herself replaying her father's voice. Asterisk, "You always overestimate yourself, Seo-yeon. That's your problem." Asterisk, she would sit with that voice all the way to her stop. Then she would get off the train, climb the stairs to her room, open her laptop, and keep working. She had made herself a promise. Not for Jae-ho, not for Tae-jun, not for any of them. For herself. And for the first time in her life, that felt like the only promise worth keeping. Nearly a year into her new life, something shifted. A small Mapo neighborhood cafe owner named Baek Hyun-soo had heard about her through a community business board. He needed a new logo and some signage. The job paid almost nothing. She treated it like the most important project she had ever taken on. When she delivered the final files, he stared at them for a long time. "This is exactly what I wanted," he said. "I didn't know how to describe what I wanted, but this is it." He recommended her to his supplier. His supplier recommended her to a restaurant group. The restaurant group introduced her to a small fashion label in Seongsadong. Word moved slowly, quietly, one person to the next. None of it was dramatic. None of it was sudden. But it moved. By the end of her second year, she had 4 regular clients. By the third, she had hired her first employee, a quiet, sharp-eyed graduate named Yebin who handled the administrative side, so Seo-yeon could focus on the work. The day she signed a lease for a proper studio in Yeoljiro, she sat at her new desk for 10 minutes without doing anything. She was not celebrating. She was simply trying to understand how she had gotten there. From a trembling woman in a parked car to this. From that room above the dry cleaner to this. She had done it. Nobody had handed her anything. She did not think about her father that day. That was, somehow, the most meaningful part. It was her cousin Soo-bin who finally told her the truth. They had not spoken in years. The call came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. They talked about small things at first, where Soo-bin was living now, how her mother's knee was doing. Then Soo-bin's voice changed. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course. Are you doing okay?" "Financially, I mean." Seo-yeon sat up straighter. I'm Fina. What? There was a pause. Then Subin told her. Jae-ho had been telling relatives for years that Seo-yeon's business had failed, that she had made reckless choices, burned through her savings, and was now quietly struggling. He had never used the word failure directly. He was too careful for that, but the implication was always there. Some relatives had even whispered that she had borrowed money from people and not repaid it. None of it was true. Seo-yeon said nothing for a long moment. She stared at the wall of her studio, at the framed logo sketches and the printed client thank you notes that were beginning to crowd the space. Did Tae-jun know? She asked. Another pause. Yes. Did he ever say anything? No. He never corrected anyone. She thanked Subin and ended the call. Then she sat in the dark studio for a long time, not crying, just thinking. She understood now. If she was painted as a failure, it made Tae-jun look better without him having to do anything at all. It protected the image Jae-ho had spent his whole life building. For several days, she was angry. She drafted a message to her father. She deleted it. She thought about calling a family meeting. She imagined every word she would say. Then, slowly, the anger settled into something quieter. People who wanted to believe a story would believe it. An argument would not change their minds. What would change their minds was something she already had. She went back to work and let the lies keep talking. Eventually, the truth would be louder. The invitation arrived 8 years after she left. Her maternal grandparents, Nabi and Dong-chul, were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. The entire extended family would be gathering at a banquet hall in Suwon. The envelope sat on Seo-yeon's desk for 3 days before she opened it. The phone calls followed within the week. An aunt, 2 cousins, a family friend she had not spoken to since she was a teenager. Everyone was suddenly warm. Everyone said the gathering would not feel complete without her. The attention was strange after so many years of silence. She almost declined. The thought of walking back into the same room as her father brought back things she had worked hard to stop carrying. But then she thought about who she had been the last time she saw him. Shaking, uncertain, desperate for something he had never once offered freely. She was not that person anymore. She picked up her phone and typed a short message to the family group chat. I will be there. The moment she pressed send, she exhaled slowly. She had no idea what would happen, but she was not afraid of it. The banquet hall was decorated in pale gold and white. Her grandparents sat at the center table, looking exactly as she remembered. Nabi in a pale peach hanbok, Dong-chul holding her hand like it was still 1974. The moment Seo-yeon walked in, the room shifted. Several relatives stopped mid-sentence. Some stared openly. One of her aunts rushed toward her, hands already extended. Seo-yeon, you look, where have you been? Tell us everything. She kept her answers simple. She was doing well. She ran a design studio. Yes, she had employees. Yes, things are going well. The questions multiplied. How long had she been running the business? How many employees? What kind of clients? As the evening continued, small circles of relatives formed around her answers, and she could hear it. The low murmur of recalibration. I thought she was struggling. I heard her business never went anywhere. I was told she moved away because things fell apart. None of it matched the woman standing in front of them. She watched understanding move through the room like weather. Across the banquet hall, she noticed her father. Jae-ho had been speaking confidently when she arrived. Now he was standing quietly near the wall, watching relatives who were no longer looking to him for the story. Tae-jun had found a seat in the corner. He did not look up often. She never raised her voice. She never accused anyone. She simply answered questions honestly. By the time dinner was served, the room had already decided. Later that night, she stepped onto a quiet balcony to get some air. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Jae-ho closed the balcony door and stood at a small distance. His face was serious. He looked at her for a long moment, as if deciding what role to play next. Then he said he had always pushed her because he wanted her to be strong. He said everything he did was for her own good. He said she should be grateful because it had prepared her for real life. She let him finish. Then she said, "Do you ever actually think about what you said to me back then?" He did not answer right away. "I remember every moment clearly," she continued. Her voice was steady. "The way you compared me. The way you dismissed everything I chose. The way you made it obvious for years that I was never enough. I tried for so long to earn something from you that you were never planning to give." She looked at him calmly. "And the day I stopped trying, that was the day everything changed. Not because of your lessons. In spite of them." The confidence in his posture slowly left him. He did not interrupt. He did not argue. For the first time in her memory, Jae-ho simply stood there and listened. She watched something move across his face. Not quite regret, but something close to recognition. "There is nothing left for you to control. she said quietly. I stopped needing your approval a long time ago. The silence between them was the longest of her life. She turned and went back inside. The next morning, the extended family gathered again in the main hall for the formal anniversary ceremony. Seo Yun stood near the front. She was not nervous. She was not angry. She simply felt clear in a way she had not felt in years. When the room settled, she spoke. She said she was not there to create conflict or to shame anyone. She said she only wanted to say one thing before she left. Families are meant to support each other, not to compare children until one feels less human than the other. A child should never have to earn basic respect from the people who were supposed to give it freely. She had spent years believing the problem was her. It was not. Some relatives looked uncomfortable. Some looked regretful. Taejun stared at the floor. Then she said the part that seemed to hit hardest. I never won anything by fighting back with anger. I didn't need to. My life already spoke for me. The business I built, the stability I created, the respect I earned, none of it was an accident. All of it was built without support, without approval, and without anyone opening a single door for me. She looked around the room one last time. I'm not here for revenge the way people expect. My revenge is simply this. I am living the life I was told I could never have. I built it without permission from anyone who doubted me. She set down her glass. I am done carrying the past. Not because it didn't matter, but because I no longer belong to it. She walked toward the exit. With every step, she felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed. Not because anyone had apologized or changed or suddenly understood. But because she finally knew, fully and without question, that she had never needed any of it to become who she was. She pushed open the door and stepped into the morning air. Asterisk if this story stayed with you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Drop a comment below and tell us what moment hit you the hardest. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. More stories like this one are coming, and you don't want to miss them. Asterisk.